So there's two update equations we have to look at to make TPC work. The first one is the equation to update the power levels. And so the update's pretty logical. We can write that out right now. But basically, the next power level that the single receiver is going to use is going to be equal to this thing called the ratio. As we said before, when we talked about TPC, we used that same term, times the current power level. And this ratio right here is actually the desired signal to interference ratio divided by the measured or the measured signal to interference ratio. And so this is really similar in virtue to the TPC, transient power control update equation, where instead of having desired over measured signal to interference ratio, as we're doing here, these are all SIRs, we had desired power divided by the measured power times the current power. But really, again, since we're looking at signal quality here, we're going to look at the ratio of the desired SIR to the measured SIR. And so if this update for DPC is pretty logical, because, for instance, if you notice, if the measured is less than the desired, then that means that this ratio is going to be greater than 1, which means the power level is going to go up, right? So that means that what I'm measuring, the SIR that I have at the receiver, is less than what's necessary, so I need to increase my power level. So the next power level is going to be higher than the current power level. At the same time, if this is greater than, so the measured is greater than, then that means that the power level is going to go down because I have too much, I have more than I need. So therefore my next power level can be a little bit lower than the current power level. And therefore at the same time, I'm alleviating interference to the other transmitters, alleviating unnecessary interference. And the third thing is that if they're equal, well, then the ratio is going to be 1. So the next power level is going to be the same. So it's not going to go up and it's not going to go down. They're going to be the same. And again, that's also very intuitive because if the desired is the same as the measured, then we don't want to change our power levels at all. We might have to go back in the future and change them because someone else might then adjust their power level, which either would raise or lower our SIR, causing us to have to readjust again. But intuitively, that update makes sense. And this is also a good time to bring up this concept of a negative externality. So within each of these cells, each of these devices is imposing what we call a negative externality. No, the other ones. And the negative externality comes in the form of interference. So the very fact that my device is in this cell also means that I'm going to do something bad to all of the other devices that are in this cell. Something negative to all of them, and that's the interference that I caused them. And so what this power update does, essentially, is it's a form of feedback. And what the feedback does, the feedback sends a signal back from the tower to each of these devices that tells them basically, oh, you're too high, or oh, you're too low, your power's too low. And it causes them to, what we say, internalize the negative externality that they're causing on everyone else. Because if they're too high, it's going to cause them to lower that power level. And if they're too low, it's going to cause them to increase that power level. So we say that feedback is a method which causes each of these transmitters to internalize the negative externality that they're imposing on the network. And negative externality is a concept that we're going to see over and over again throughout this material, even in future chapters.